Hello everyone, have a good day. My group is assigned to the topic of Module 4, the Agrarian Reform Efforts under Marcos until Fiscal Policy from 1946 to present. And we have the learning objectives. At the end of the discussion, we will able to, number 1, learn the agrarian reform under Marcos, and number 2, to understand the fiscal policy. For the agrarian reform efforts under Marcos, on 1972, President Ferdinand Marcos declared the martial law and the start of his dictatorship. On September 10, 1971, President Ferdinand A. Marcos signed the Code of Agrarian Reform of the Philippines into law, which established the Department of Agrarian Reform, effectively replacing the Land Authority. Operation Land Transfer is the orderly and systematic transfer of ownership of tenanted rice and corn lands. The Department of Agrarian Reform started to cover long states. Masagana 99. The Masagana 99 program was launched in 1973 as 99 program of survival to address the acute food shortage and later to increase rice productions. The target was to achieve a yield of 99 cabans of unmilled rice per hectare. Masagana 99 was anchored on two service provision, a credit program, and transfer of technology. It was an innovative supervised credit program and the first of its kind in its time. In post-1986 agrarian reform, 1987 Constitution, it established a representative democracy with power divided among the three separate and independent branches of government, the executive, a bicameral legislature, and the judiciary. A presidential proclamation number 131 dated July 22, 1987, the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program has been instituted by Corazon Aquino. Executive Order 229, providing the mechanisms for the implementation of the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program. The Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program, more commonly known as CARP, is an agrarian reform law of the Philippines whose legal basis is the Republic Law of the Philippines, whose legal basis is the Republic Act No. 6657, otherwise known as the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law or CARP.
Carper and Future of Agrarian Reform in the Philippines. The new deadline of CARP expired in 2008, leaving 1.2 million farmer beneficiaries and 1.6 million hectares of agricultural land to be distributed to the farmers. In 2009, President Arroyo signed RA number 9700, or the Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program Extension with Reforms, the amendatory law that extended the deadline to 5 more years. Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Program Extension with Reforms, also known as CARPER or CARPER, Republic Act 9700, is the amendatory law that extends again the deadline of distributing agricultural lands to farmers for 5 years. It also amends other provisions stated in CARP. From 2009 to 2014, CARPER has distributed a total of 1 million hectares of land to 900,000 farmer beneficiaries. After 27 years of land reform and 2 Aquino administrations, 500,000 hectares of lands remain undistributed. The DAR and DNR are the government agencies have proved incapable of fully achieving the goal of the agrarian reform in the Philippines. Evolution of Philippine taxation. In today's world, taxation is a reality that all citizens must contend with for the primary reason that governments raise revenue from the people they govern to be able to function fully. In exchange of taxes, that people pay, the government promised to improve the citizens' lives through good governance. Taxations, as a government mechanism to raise funds, developed and evolved through time. The purpose of the Philippine taxation is to develop and improve the country and to maintain it as well. Also, the collect tributes is for the government official salary for the expenses of clergy. The Filipinos have gotten satisfied with the production of agriculture.
Taxation in the Spanish to defray the expenses of pacification or the act of forcibly suppressing hostility within the colonized and governance thereafter. Other forms of taxes from the Spanish era is the tributo, which was originally between 8 to 10 reals, forced labor, or polo y servicio, was also a network for tax payment. Eventually, with the cedula, Spain replaced tributo with cedula, which allowed them to keep track of the people who could pay taxes. On June 7, 1991, the Spanish Parliament approved a reform of the personal income tax with effect from January 1, 1992. During 1884, the payment of tribute was put to stop and was replaced by the poll tax or cedula personal.
My topic is all about taxation under the Americans and taxation during the Commonwealth period. In taxation under the Americans, the United States of America has separate federal, state, and local governments with taxes imposed at each of these levels. Taxes are levied on income, payroll, property, sales, capitals, gains, dividends, imports, states, and gifts, as well as various fees. So, ang ilang taxes is ilang gi-separate to federal, to state. Then, taxation during the Commonwealth period. New measures and legislation were introduced to make the taxation system appear more equitable during the Commonwealth. Income tax rates were increased in 1936, adding a surtax rate on individual net incomes in excess of 10,000 pesos. That's all.
Hi everyone, this is Sheena Batiste from FM1C. So as of now, I'm gonna tackle about the fiscal policy from 1946 to present. The impetus for economic growth came during the time of President Elpidio Quirino through the implementation of EMPOC and exchange controls that lead to important substitution development. This policy allowed for the expansion of a viable manufacturing sector that reduced the economic dependence on imports. So what are the some example of fiscal policy are the tax cuts and increased government expanding. So both of these policies are intended for increased aggregate demand while contribution to deficits of during down budget surprises. And it's have a kind of fiscal policies are the neutral policy, expansionary, and also contractionary.